So Gyrfalcon's got a huge buff in PvE, and now when you come out of invisibility, it gives you volatile rounds on demand that can be chained infinitely. So today, and I'm not exaggerating here one bit, I'm going to be bringing you the most powerful build hunters have ever gotten, regardless of whether you're a solo player or a player that usually plays in a fire team. You'll want to use this build, as it has infinite volatile explosions, infinite overshields, infinite healing with Devour, infinite invisibility, 40% damage resist, and a 25% damage boost to your weapons. As you can see, this build literally has it all. And if you're worried about hunters not being accepted into raid groups, that they don't provide any utility, well, Divinity actually got nerfed to 15% damage now, so raid groups are going to want Void Hunters to allow them to get to that 30% damage bonus again. So your super isn't a net detriment to the team anymore. Hunters, you're going to be welcome into raid groups again. So today, I'm going to cover my Void 3.0 build that lets you do all this crazy stuff, my recommended stat distribution, my mod setup, and finally my recommended weapon pairings that truly maximize the potential of this build. You don't need these particular weapons. Any Void weapon with this setup will work and work very well, but the weapons I'm going to recommend really take this build to S tier levels. Dim link for the build is in the Discord, link for which is in the comments or description below. Let's get into it. So the first aspect I'm running is Vanishing Step, which lets you go invisible while dodging and basically initiates the entire gameplay loop you're seeing. Once you break invisibility, you're going to apply Volatile with a Void weapon which will cause explosions onto enemies and absolutely melt them. Volatile works incredibly well with something like an SMG, as more explosions are caused with weapons with an increased fire rate. The important thing here to note is that because you've applied Volatile, that counts as a Void debuff, which leads us on to our second aspect, Stylish Executioner, whereby you automatically go invisible after defeating an enemy which has a debuff such as Weakened, Suppressed, or Volatile, and we also get True Sight as a result of this. So you use your dodge, go invisible, fire volatile rounds thanks to Gyrfalcons, and once the enemy is killed, you automatically go invisible again. A very easy and powerful gameplay loop. The weapons you want to use here are those with the weapon perk Repulsor Brace, whereby when we defeat a Void debuff target, we gain a 45 HP Void overshield that lasts for 8 seconds. And yes, thanks to Volatile, this is going to happen on every kill. So you'll notice in the background footage, I'm gaining invisibility and an overshield with every kill. I'm using a Hero's Burden SMG with a Repulsor Brace, but the best option here is probably going to be something like the Unforgiven, which can roll with both Demolitionist and Repulsor Brace so that you can spam grenades and get overshields. Another very easy option for those who don't want to farm too much is the seasonal weapon, the Veles X Pulse Rifle, which actually drops with Golden Tricorn and Repulsor Brace, so you can get increased damage and overshields very easily. With our fragments, we can make our other abilities also let us go invisible as well. We use Echo of Undermining, which gives our grenades Weaken, which when paired with Vortex Grenade, absolutely annihilates stronger enemies, and you'll also weaken the enemy, so your volatile explosions from your weapon will do more and more damage. We then have Echo of Expulsion so that our Void ability final blows cause even more explosions, Echo of Persistence so our Invis, Overshield and Devour all last longer, and we utilize all three of those in this build. Echo of Starvation, whereby whenever we pick up an Orb of Power we are granted Devour, which we can chain infinitely on kills and keep getting our health back. Now, to generate orbs reliably so that we can get Devour, we're going to have to utilize certain mods on our helmet. I use Harmonic Siphon on my helmet so that when we get rapid final blows with Void damage, we can generate orbs of power. If the build wasn't already invincible enough for you guys, we add 40% damage resist on top of this with Well of Tenacity, whereby whenever we pick up a Void Elemental Well, we gain that damage resist. We use Reaping Wellmaker so that each time we dodge, the subsequent kill spawns that Void Elemental Well that we need for Well of Tenacity. Then I add in Font of Might so we gain a 25% damage boost on top of our Void weapons, which not only applies to our energy weapon but also our heavy weapon. Remember, for anything like a raid where you want to maximize your DPS and use this build, you can use something like a Taipan Linear Fusion Rifle with triple tap, firing line, Vice Stinger. So with this build you don't have to sacrifice insane DPS Font of Might will work with your heavy weapon. I then use Elemental Time Dilation on my Stasis Cloak to maximize the duration of those damage resist and void weapon damage buffs. I've also slotted in 2 utility kickstart mods on that Stasis Cloak so that we can get our dodge back quicker, and then for your final mod slot you can use something like Bountiful Wells. You generate 2 void elemental wells per kill, but in the end, I actually ended up opting for Powerful Friends to gain 20 mobility so I can dodge more frequently. In terms of stat priority, 100 resilience is #1 priority here so that we can gain 40% damage resist on top. 100 mobility I actually placed #2 in priority because once you get the invisibility loop going, Stylish Executioner will let you go invis most of the time, and very rarely does the loop break. So only when that instance happens is when having your dodge back up is very useful. Your third stat to prioritize is going to be 100 discipline, as your vortex grenade is very powerful. It not only applies weaken, but it also applies volatile, so having this up as much as possible is going to help you clear ads so much. Then I'd go for recovery, intellect and strength in that order. Apart from void SMGs, especially the 2 I mentioned before with repulsor brace, other great weapons to pair with this build includes things like a void sword such as the falling guillotine, or the glaive like the Enigma, which is super fun. You can literally go up to Cursed Thrall and destroy them with a sword and come out on full health with this build. And finally, the last weapon I want to really recommend is Collective Obligation, which is an absolute monster of a weapon to use with this build. Not only can you take advantage of anti-barrier rounds this season, but with Collective Obligation you can leech both the weaken and the volatile aspect that you put on enemies for 15 seconds, and then you can apply those debuffs to all your shots. It's actually nuts how powerful this gun becomes with this build. So there you have it guys, my Gyrfalcon's build that makes you practically unkillable. It has insane DPS and it's probably one of the best solo builds to ever exist. If you enjoyed what I talked about today, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Destiny content as we uncover Season 19. I'm Mr. Ronnet, and that's it for today. Peace out guys.